Welcome to Exilog's Mac performance tutorial. So at first we need to build a grid. For this we made a new level called x_grid. And we now load it. So everything you put in is there. And now we search for Primal Earth and go there to the general folder. And there you can find boxes. To check if the box is in-game, you can click on it, check the reference, and if you see here one of the levels that is used in the island, Scorched Earth or Aberration, it's definitely in-game and will not disappear when you load the map. So we now drag it into our level. And now we change the size. First location should be 0, 0. And here then you can arrange the scale to whatever you want. Okay, I think this was a little bit too big. So 4000 looks good for my map. Okay, what we now need to do is a little bit math. So we need to find out the size of our map. So if you already know it, it's okay. If not, you can click on Landscape and then go to the Change Component Size. And in the overall resolution, you see the size of your map. With that size you can do a little bit math. So yeah, for the first wall I use 81,290. And we now select the wall and change the collision. So yeah, should be on no collision, so that there are no problems. And then you go up and unclick the cast shadow, and then we can copy it to use it for the others. So the next one have the same on the axis but with a minus. next one is initial 812 plus the 1625. So we are at 243,840. So I now speed this a little bit up. So now you have a nice little grid. Okay, now we start to check the level streaming on my map. So you go to the summon world composition, then another window opened, and you see the map from above. So mostly this is only if you have the landscape level on. If not, you only see small yellow boxes. So this now show you the border of the levels. So you see the streaming distance, where the border is placed. The borders are normally auto-generated. So when they are all more or less into the grid you made, then everything is fine. So we now load one of my levels, and I can check if it's matching to the border I made. It should be, because yeah, I don't have this border normally on, but I had it at the start, so everything should match fine. And yeah, it looks very good. All is inside this border. So to check for wrong borders, you need to open the world composition, and then you can click on your levels, and you can go down every level and then see if the borders look good on the place where they should be. So here we found in one of my levels the one with wrong border. So you see the wrong border if it's not in your grid, and when you have some foliage in that is not used. So with a count of 0, your border always goes through the 0, 0 point. So we will now sort this by instance count, and we will now dealt every foliage out with a 0 instance count. And then you will see that the level bound automatically changes to the real position it has. So now you see the last rock now have some instances, and you see that the border swapped back from the 0, 0 line to the normal position, and it's now loaded on the place where it should load it. So the rest looks more or less okay. When there is something, I know why. So yeah, you see the rest is more or less into the grid. So okay, now we check the layers we used. So this is the Arc modding wiki, and when you go on mapping and there on the sublevels, you see all the sublevels and all the streaming distances the level should have. So uncategorized have automatically 50,000. So you see all the levels that are inside in the level tab now too. The neo streaming is 20,000, and yeah, you see all the near levels, water levels, some of my caves, mostly the older caves. Yeah, and in the uncategorized are all the far levels, and yeah, persistent levels. Some cave is there, but I'm working on this, and this is one near level that should not be there. So we change it now. So we can load it. And when it's loaded, we can click on Assign to Layer and to Near Streaming Distance. And now we see here it's now in the near layers. We save. Yeah, now you see it's not longer in the uncategorized layers. So this is how you can put everything into the right layer. So this inclusion volume have the streaming distance of 1. It's for all levels that are loaded via tile streaming. Okay, now we come to talk about the size of your sublevels. In the near sublevels, you have much foliage. So grass, little bushes, stones, and I can now go into my foliage and sort all by instance count, and we can see I have nearly 200,000 grass foliage stuff thingies. So, and for every of these 200,000 you have a positioning saved. So you have the X, Y, and Z axis, the rotation, the scale. All of this is saved with position data for everything. So don't spam in millions of this, because it makes the size of your level really big. So you see, this is my level now, and it have around 33 megabytes, and this is one of my biggest levels. So the near level are always big because there is so much small foliage inside. So you see all the near levels have a bigger size. And we will now go to the island. There you see too the biggest level here. I don't know what this is, but it must be from me. So the normal near levels here have around 33.2. So you don't go over 30. So we now can check Scorched Earth. This looks good. 25 MB for the biggest near level. And the other is the proxy mesh level. It's that big because the proxy meshes, the static mesh is saved there inside. So you don't have a folder for this where the static mesh is saved, it's inside this map saved. So and here in Aberration 2, biggest level is 27. So don't spam too much foliage. So what I show you now is for cutting foliage. So what is, you make your grid and your foliage you set up is not inside your grid because you painted before and don't have a grid, and now you want to put a grid in and you see okay, nothing is matching. So you see for this I'm now between two levels. So and what you can do, you can open another level, load it, and so go into the first of your levels, go into foliage, then select all, then select the level where you want to save all this, and then copy all your foliage to the selected level. So I use grid here because it's only for showing. You can use then another level. You see, and I change the visibility, it's still there. So we now load the other level, select all, copy it to the grid level. So you can now change the visibility, and it still stays. So we now load the grid level and unload the other two levels. We now save it so it don't crash. Yeah, I will save this dirty level. It's only for show, so I don't save my levels. I only save the grid level because I dealt this later. So we now see that we have all the foliage from these both levels saved inside the grid level. Yeah, it goes over there and over there on the other side. So instead of delting all this around, we now search for foliage enclosing volume and put this inside. Then rearrange the size. It's like the size of the grid you make. So it's now have the same size as the grid, and I arrange it a little bit. Yeah, looks okay for showing. So what we now do is right click on it and then clip foliage. And as you see, it delts all foliage out that is not inside the inclusion volume. So, and with this way you can arrange your foliage very easy if you have already painted without a grid. So I now show proxy meshes and Simplygon. As you see on my map, I have a huge mountain inside that have collapsed. So you see these rock formations from the whole map. And what I did is make 3 groups out of it. And yeah, the groups are made because I don't want to move one of the rocks accidentally and then it don't matches with the proxy. So I now load my proxy level and you see, yeah, it looks nearly the same, but with much lesser polygons. So from the far you don't see anything, yeah, anything strange. So yeah, with these proxies you can see the collapsed mountain from the whole map. And here the settings are in, let me check. I think they are in rendering. Yeah, the level of distance. Here you see the draw distance of 80,000, and I think my normal rocks have, I think, over 100,000. So when you're over 80,000 away, you see the proxy mesh, and if you go nearer, it disappears, and you see the original mesh that loaded in with 100,000. So okay, what I now show you is how to make a proxy mesh and yeah, how to arrange it a little bit with Simplygon. So okay, what should we use? I think we should use those rocks. Okay, now I select 3. And then I group them. Yeah. So as I told you, I only group them that yeah, I don't accidentally move one and then it don't stays in the same position as the proxy. So now you go on generate proxy mesh and yeah, set the distance to 30,000 here and select my proxy mesh level. You should have one. Yeah, I have one. So the rest is okay. So this is the transition. You need to check what loading you have. On this one you see my Disary max distance is on 150,000, so I could put this up on 120,000 or something like this. So now I've generated one. It's now saved here, but we need to go one time out and then back in to see it. So we now have this new proxy mesh saved here. So we now go on level, and I change the visibility so we only see the proxy mesh here. And yeah, this is our proxy mesh. So yeah, you can change later the minimum draw distance. It's absolutely no problem. So what we now do is we export it. I put it here on my desktop, and then we open Simplygon. So now on File and Import Scene, and then load your proxy mesh. Yeah, you can stay here. So this is our proxy mesh. With the left mouse key you can, so if you, the left mouse you can rotate it. So I put it in a position where it looks like in-game. So like this. So then we press on this then we press on this brush, change the size a little bit, and then with Shift and the left mouse you can paint green. Green is like, yes, I want all this structure should stay nearly the same. White is like, I don't care if it changed or not. So the outside, that one that the players see, we mark green, and the inside with Shift right mouse you can paint red. Red is like, yeah, you can change this, I don't care. So, and with Shift and the middle mouse you can clean, and then it goes white again. So okay, I think it's good enough. So what we now see here, I want to have 15,000 triangles. We now have 50. So change the things like here. You definitely need use white, so then it uses the paint mode. When you click on progress, it make your mesh, then import it, and then you can go on toolbar and see it side by side. So you see the front that we see is the same, and the back side that we painted red is with the lessest possible polygons. So if the second window don't open, you're maybe still in the paint mode. So now we can export it to FBX. Go on save. Yes. export. And then we can re-import it into the game. Both level of details are saved in separate folders. So we now re-import it, still on the desktop. There are two folders. So the old level of detail with 0, that is nearly 9 MB big. And the new one, that is nearly 2 MB big, it's a new one. So we re-import it. Then we go, need to go out of the folder and back in to see it. So this is a new proxy mesh. I think the verticals is this is some, I don't know, Unreal Engine bug or something that are definitely lesser than they are shown. So we now change it to our proxy mesh, and then we change the material. So don't save now, because it's only for this tutorial. And you see that the outside looks the same, and when we go behind it, you see, less amount. So I hope this all helps to change the performance on your map, and see you on the next tutorial.